So Nigeria is finally out of the running to qualify for the 2026 World Cup in the USA after a heartbreaking loss to DR Congo in a penalty shootout after a 1-all draw in regulation time. Nigeria's heartbreaking exit from the African playoffs was a bitter culmination of deep systemic issues that had been plaguing the team right from the onset of the qualifiers. For a minute, it seemed like the Super Eagles had finally found their wings after beating Benin and Gabon handsomely in its last 2 matches. But in the end, they flattered to deceive. As the Super Eagles saw their World Cup dreams evaporate in Rabat, a few stark reasons for the defeat to DR Congo stand out as decisive. What are these issues, and what can the Super Eagles do to pick itself up from this demoralizing disappointment so it can have a good outing at the 2025 Nations Cup? Let's get into it. As we get into the video, we implore you to subscribe to our channel. We urge you to keep supporting our channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing our videos as we strive to create a lot more exciting content for your viewing pleasure. Onto the video. The final result after the penalty shootouts at the Houphouët-Boigny Stadium in Morocco did not just signal a defeat to Congo and an end of Nigeria's World Cup dreams. It was a sad end to a once captivating story of redemption. For Nigerian fans, the pain of missing out on the 2026 World Cup was worsened by the agonizing familiarity of the failure, similar to narrowly missing out on winning the 2023 Nations Cup. The story of Nigeria's failed campaign can be distilled into 5 profound reasons, each a damning indictment of the state of Nigerian football that together orchestrated this devastating failure. Number 1. Loss of Osimhen. Victor Osimhen is not merely a star striker for Nigeria. He is Nigeria's talisman, the engine of its attack, and a source of belief for both his teammates and the fans. In the playoff final, Nigeria started brightly, and Frank Onyeka's early goal gave Nigeria a dream opening. But before halftime, tragedy struck. Osimhen was forced off due to injury. He was substituted at the break due to hamstring issues, and his absence was felt immediately. When Osimhen went off, he took much more than his physical presence. He took with him a psychological edge for Nigeria. His power, movement, and clinical finishing are unmatched in the squad and in the African game. And without him, Nigeria's attack lost its cutting edge. The loss of Osimhen must have completely sapped the belief in the dressing room as on return to the field. Instead of pushing forward with confidence, Nigeria became more cautious, even conservative. The second half carried on with more possession, but less potency. Congo, sensing weakness, grew into the game, pressing and countering with growing confidence. The emotional blow of losing Osimhen turned into a practical problem as Nigeria lacked a reliable plan B in attack, and that void undermined their momentum. It is possible that based on the physical nature of the match that led to Osimhen's injury and the unpleasant treatment that they had been receiving from the NFF throughout the qualification, they were not willing to risk their necks for the game and had resigned themselves to their fate. This is all guesswork, but this is an issue that a psychologist may have been able to help with if there was one. In a serious quest to qualify for the World Cup, no stone should have been left unturned in the endeavor, which includes getting a psychologist for the team. In the end, hindsight is 50-50, as they say. Eric Chelle must also figure out a plan B for a situation in which Victor Osimhen is not available. He must figure out which of his alternatives is the best replacement for Victor Osimhen and possibly go after Chido Obi Martins before England comes for him. Since Nigeria is building for the future, this might just be the right time to go for him before he blows up at Manchester United. Number 2. Aging midfield. If Osimhen's injury cost Nigeria its cutting edge, the midfield implosion under pressure sealed Nigeria's fate further. This failure in midfield was as a result of poor selection, lack of creativity, and an overdependence on players whose best days arguably lie behind them. The NFF and coach Eric Chelle leaned heavily on established names like Alex Iwobi and Wilfred Ndidi. But in this high-stakes match, they looked flat, overrun, and uninspired. Many examples abound of how teams play so dominantly to win tournaments, then come back with the same players the next edition of the tournament to be met with a rude shock at how much they have fallen behind in just 4 years. Yet Nigeria has been using the same midfield for upwards of 8 years, unable to or choosing not to unravel and blood in new younger players who typically exhibit more hunger than established players. Typical examples of events which should have been an indicator of Iwobi's lack of motivation for that match include his posts about the hotel in which they were lodged and his unwillingness to run after the ball, which was evident right from the match against Gabon. Unfortunately, Eric Chelle invited just one attacking midfielder to the playoffs, so there wasn't even an alternative other than playing one of the wingers in that role when there were options like Chrysanthus Uche, David Moses, and Joe Arabo who were available for selection. It is unfortunate that Chrysanthus Uche is not getting playing time at Crystal Palace because, frankly, he has the fight and passion that has been absent in that role for the Super Eagles, which is absolutely vital against physical African teams. For a match against a physical team like DR Congo, a slower but physical, fully committed 76 points ranked attacking midfielder/striker who has more experience dealing with the dysfunction in the Nigerian system is better than an 80 points rated attacking midfielder showing half commitment. And that is a truth that Eric Chelle has to come to accept. Also, a younger, more gritty Ebenezer Akinsenmiro would not have lost possession the way Iwobi did against DR Congo and then refused to run back to recover the ball. Unfortunately, Akinsenmiro's debut didn't happen for Nigeria because he was injured. Moving forward, Eric Chelle must explore more playing time for Chrysanthus Uche and bring in more options like David Moses and Tino Angerin to compete for the attacking midfield role. Ultimately, a timely loss of possession in midfield by Iwobi set up the events that led to DR Congo's equalizer. Wilfred Ndidi crowned Iwobi's error with a blunder of his own in his feeble attempt to clear out a low cross from Congo's right winger, which ended up placing the ball in the path of DR Congo striker Mechake Elia, who slotted past Stanley Nwabali for the equalizer. Ndidi, tasked with controlling the midfield, was repeatedly bypassed throughout most of the game. He was bereft of ideas, unable to shield the defense or link up play in any meaningful way after the equalizer. What compounds the disappointment of the loss in the final is that fresh options were available. Raphael Onyedika, a younger, energetic, and physical midfielder, was on the bench during the final. In a situation where Onyeka was added to make it a three-man midfield, Onyedika is definitely a viable choice, and Providence had knocked on Nigeria's door to feature him against DR Congo with Ndidi's accumulated yellow cards, but Nigeria refused to listen. In the end, rather than deploying fresh legs with hunger, the team stuck to familiar faces who, in truth, appeared emotionally and physically drained. The fact that they had to play that final after a grueling extra-time win against Gabon cannot be ruled out as a factor in their poor display in the later stages of the final match against DR Congo, and is an additional indicator of how vital a deeper bench could have been. Without a midfield capable of dictating tempo, adapting under pressure, or injecting fresh creativity, Nigeria became predictable, making it easier for the Leopards to control large phases of the game, and the rest, as they say, is history. Number 3. Tactical errors. One must first give credit to Eric Chelle for an amazing job getting the Super Eagles all the way to the playoff final after the abysmal position he found the team when he took over the team. However, in that final, he still has to take the blame for the selection of players he had on the pitch. While the selection was a good one for any other team, for a physical team like DR Congo, it was a selection that was lacking. One of the biggest tactical flaws in Nigeria's performance, as highlighted by former coach Joe Bonfrere, was the team's lack of movement off the ball and a sluggish build-up. Without regular interchanging or clever runs, Nigeria's attack became predictable, and its ability to stretch the Leopards' backline weakened as the game progressed. Dominating possession without purposeful ball progression is not enough in high-stakes games. What matters is breaking lines, creating passing angles, and manipulating the opponent with intelligent off-ball movement. Another tactical error came in the substitutions and game management after halftime. When Osimhen went off injured, Nigeria's coach Eric Chelle replaced him with Akor Adams, and eventually he added on Tolu Arokodare. While Adams has potential, he could not replicate Osimhen's physical presence or cutting edge, while Tolu Arokodare seemed a bit sluggish and couldn't handle the heat of the moment, and illustrated that there wasn't a Plan B strategy of attack in the absence of Victor Osimhen. To be fair, this has been an issue since the beginning of the qualifiers and, in fact, since Victor Osimhen began scoring goals for the Super Eagles. Chelle also removed key wide players, Samuel Chukwueze and Ademola Lookman, and replaced them with Moses Simon and Chidera Ejuke. The change, rather than injecting fresh attacking ideas, seemed to blunt Nigeria's forward thrust. These substitutes offered limited influence, failing to dramatically shift momentum or provide the spark needed in a match slipping away. This raises a question whether the present set of Super Eagles wingers are able to handle the more physical teams in Africa, as they seem to always have issues when playing against physical teams like DR Congo and South Africa. Chelle's decision to bring only one attacking midfielder and sticking to Justin Didi in the playoff matches, as well as not having a plan B in the absence of Victor Osimhen, in the end may have been very critical in Nigeria's loss to the DR Congo. Also, having 3 penalty takers out of 5 being defenders and starting with a defender doesn't make much sense, as it is usually vital that you score the first goal to put the pressure on the opponent. Equally critical, and probably the most damaging, was the inability to manage pressure in critical moments. When the match went to penalties, Nigeria's composure cracked. It is assumed that as Eric Chelle gets to better know the team, he will make bolder decisions with his team selection. Bringing in younger, more motivated players will be critical moving forward. Heading into the Nations Cup, Eric Chelle needs to explore new options in key areas of the team and figure out a Plan B strategy for a situation in which the Super Eagles will have to play without Victor Osimhen. Number 4. Psychological issues. Psychological preparation of a team is indispensable in modern football and includes keeping the players in good spirits by paying match bonuses on time, good health welfare, and insurance packages so they don't have to worry about the implications of incurring injuries during matches. Having a psychologist in the team not only ensures all the players get talk therapy before and during matches, but act as an additional layer of evaluation for players when determining who should get on the field for a match. Unfortunately, the Super Eagles had none, and it is mind-boggling how the Nigerian FA expects players or coaches to give off their best on the field while their basic needs are withheld without good reason, and basic amenities are avoidably absent. Granted, the funds are not an issue for the players, but if the FA cannot provide the basic amenities, it makes sense they at least pay bonuses on time. It is even more critical for the coach because that is what he survives on and pays his staff from. From Gernot Rohr to Jose Posero, it was the same story. And so it is even applaudable that the team was able to pick itself up after the bonus scandal to beat Benin and Gabon. These administrative issues would demoralize any team, and so the Super Eagles should be cut some slack. However, the coach still needs to win, and so he should have better insight into determining which of his players are in the right state of mind to play matches. For a team which has gotten used to playing demoralized, the absence of Victor Osimhen is even more critical. This is because he is the only true motivator in the team, not just due to his ability to take the game by the scruff of the neck, but for his passion and continued prodding of his teammates to lift their game during matches. In that final, the ultimate failure came in the penalty shootout. And here too, apart from a poor selection of players who played the penalty kicks, there was a failure in an ability to assess the psychological state of the players selected for the penalties. The nerves of the Super Eagles players seemed to unravel under pressure. Players like Calvin Bassey, Moses Simon, and Semi Ajayi missed crucial spot kicks that insinuated a lack of preparation. Penalty shootouts test more than technical skill. They test mental resilience, composure, and the psychological readiness to deliver when everything is on the line. In summary, tactical errors and poor psychological preparation reveal that beyond talent and heartbreak, the Super Eagles were tactically and mentally outmaneuvered in the decisive moments. For Nigeria to recover and qualify in the future, they will need not just better players, but a more disciplined, adaptive, and psychologically resilient tactical setup. Number 5. FA dysfunction. Beyond the pitch, the story of Nigeria's collapse is deeply entangled with mismanagement and poor planning by the Nigeria Football Federation. The NFF had a golden opportunity to galvanize a team capable of redeeming Nigeria's World Cup qualification hopes, but instead, internal dysfunction emerged, and the campaign suffered for it. First, the selection process for a new Super Eagles coach that eventually saw the appointment of Eric Chelle was riddled with issues right from the start, and saw Nigeria using 4 coaches in 1 year. In the end, Eric Chelle got the job even though he was not the best candidate. Despite Eric Chelle's commendable turnaround of the team, he still has a few flaws that need to be worked on. Also, player welfare, from training camp to logistics, cracks in planning inevitably affect morale and need to be addressed. Preparation for a tournament requires not just talent but seamless coordination. Travel arrangements, rest days, scouting, tactical rehearsals, and psychological readiness all play a role. Finally, leadership issues within the NFF cannot be overlooked. These recurrent failures in managing major tournaments reflect a chronic institutional weakness. Instead of building systems that prioritize long-term vision by integrating youth, modern tactics and facilities as well as accountability, the NFF continues to rely on short-term fixes. The implications of this failed World Cup campaign are profound and far-reaching than the immediate sorrow Nigerians are feeling. Apart from the fact that a golden generation of Super Eagles players have gone to waste and will never play at the World Cup, Nigeria has potentially lost many diaspora players who may have been waiting in the wings to see how things play out. With all the poor advertisement that went with this World Cup campaign, including the unbridled comments by the coach about voodoo being the cause of the failure, many young players who may have considered committing their future to Nigeria may now decide to retrace their steps. If the Super Eagles hope to soar again, all relevant stakeholders will need to really look inwards, reflect, and learn from this defeat. The government must figure out a way to step in to make the required changes in the constitution of the NFF board. Like we mentioned in a prior video, if the government does it right, it might be able to get FIFA's cooperation to make it happen. It just needs to conduct an impartial investigation related to fraud, go through a credible legal process, and ensure continuous communication with FIFA. The next big test for the Super Eagles will be at the 2025 Nations Cup. Unless changes are made, history may end up repeating itself. Moving forward, Nigeria will need to actively find new talent to beef up the team, build a squad less dependent on a single focal point, and build a far more passionate and creative midfield. It will also be important to institute a football federation that can strategize, plan, and lead without crumbling under pressure or personal interests. In preparation for the next World Cup, the only way forward for Nigeria is to do something about its football infrastructure and introduce a real talent development program. If it can take a leaf from Morocco or even Senegal, then it may stand a chance of creating a competent team for the next World Cup. Without Nigeria having a good campaign in any major youth competition in the past few years, the chances of this even happening by 2030 are bleak, but not impossible. An 8-year program is more realistic, and so it is rather unfortunate that a talent like Victor Osimhen may end up not having a good run at the 2030 World Cup, even if Nigeria qualifies. Except Nigeria miraculously finds new rare talents before then. There must be more Benjamin Fredericks out there waiting to crawl out of the woodworks. Nigeria just needs an FA that is willing and ready to do the work. If Nigeria starts now and does not wait till it gets close to 2030 before scrambling to make plans for the next World Cup, it might stand a chance. Fingers crossed as miracles do happen. Thanks for watching. If you like our content, please support our channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing our content to encourage us and keep the algorithm on our side. Also, please leave a comment letting us know whether you think Nigeria can win the 2025 Nations Cup with the present set of players. See you in the next video.